Let's begin as tradition with the minute of silent prayer. Thank you. We will play the Gambian national anthem, followed by ECOWAS national anthem, regional anthem, and the eight. Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, the co-host of this forum, Honorable Ministers, Honorary Secretary of the First Lady, ECOWAS President Representative, the Diplomacy Representative of the Land, the Council and Partner of this forum, UNFPA Representative Rep, Partner to this forum, Special Executive Assistant of the Director General of West Africa Organization, Health Organization, WAFU, partner to this forum as well. Representatives of national and international organizations, experts, SWEDD coordinators, and partners, also preceding the forum on zero tolerance for gender-based violence. This 3 days forum hosted in the Gambia under the auspices of the Office of the First Lady and ECOWAS marks a historic moment in our fight and a collective fight to end gender-based violence. This forum is funded by the World Bank through ECOWAS under a global project for Sub-Saharan Women Empowerment Demographic Dividend Loss, SWEDD, covering 7 countries, namely Burkina Faso, Gambia, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, Chad, and Togo. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare is the lead from the government side for the 2 first days of this meeting, meaning the 8th and the 9th. These are the experts and the ministerial meeting, whilst the Office of the First Lady leads the forum of the First Ladies on the 10th. That will be really the highlight of this program. The World Bank and UNFPA are the key partners in organizing these ECOWAS, working hand in hand with ECOWAS to make impact. This multi-layer partnership has proven to be impactful and sends a strong signal that we all need to work together and working together, and all hands on deck will help us end gender-based violence. Let us now proceed with the official remarks. But before that, I would also like to mention the countries represented here. Apologies for this, but really it's important that we make this mention. Benin, Cameroon, Chad, Guinea, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, the Gambia, and Togo. The coordinators of state projects, as I mentioned earlier, Central African Republic, West Africa, but also strongly represented. We need a platform key to this work because with all the violations, the gender-based violation remains strong leader. So they are here also representing all the surgeons, the different GDP experts around the region, and also from the partner institutions. The World Bank, the High Power Delegation, the UPA with the resident and also colleagues coming from the regional office. ECOWAS at the highest level. And just here, the resident we have the president and the commission in charge of human development and social affairs. Waku is present. Java, the post sometimes in Java, who may not understand. This is being talked about human trafficking, illicit funding, and all the violations that are affecting women. So Java also is key. For our foundation, one of also the key partner of supporting ECOWAS and many other organizations. GITA, one of the sponsors, Population Council, the Office of the First Lady I mentioned already, and of course, of gender. I wanted just to reiterate, just to show the diversity, but also the fact that all these actors in their different facets, in their different forms and levels, government, civil society, the partners in development, all working together for one cause, prioritizing gender-based violence, meaning that this time around we all mean business. Without further ado, I would like now to proceed with the official ceremony. I will now call Mr. Gambian, the Permanent Secretary for Gender, Children and Social Welfare, to lead the remarks for to give a welcome remark for the ministry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable members, okay, I tell you, the good ministers, Honorable National Assembly members here present, permanent secretaries, and other senior government officials, distinguished experts from the Sovereign, esteemed representative of ECOWAS, WAMO, World Bank, UNFPA, civil society organization, technical and financial partners, diplomatic and cultural force, ladies and gentlemen. It is with profound honor and gratitude that I welcome you all to Banjul, the capital city of the Gambia, small coast of West Africa, for this important meeting that received the first ladies Forum on Zero Tolerance on Gender-Based Violence and Sexual Harassment under the SWEDD project. Your presence here today is a testament to shared commitment of our region and our partners to confront one of the most basic challenges of our time: the protection, empowerment, and advancement of women and girls. This meeting is not merely a preparatory step. It is a foundation upon which success of the First Ladies Forum will be built. As statistics shows, in sub-Saharan Africa, 79 million women and girls, representing 21.4%, have encountered sexual violence. In the ECOWAS region, more than 10% of women experience physical, sexual, or emotional violence at the hands of partners or ex-partners. These figures are not just numbers. They represent disrupted lives, compromised freedom, and living communities. The COVID-19 pandemic further highlighted these realities. Between 2020 and 2022 lockdowns and restrictions led to a sharp escalation in gender-based violence, exposing fragility of our system and the urgent need for stronger protection. Despite adoption of regional strategies such as the ECOWAS Regional Strategy to Prevent and Respond to Sexual and Gender-Based Violence 2021 and the Policy on Sexual Harassment in Workplaces and Educational Institutions, we continue to face persistent challenges. The culture of silence, trivialization of violence, and impunity. Ladies and gentlemen, this expert meeting is a critical step in breaking that cycle. It is an opportunity to deliberate, share best practices, and to design a regional roadmap on zero tolerance for gender-based violence that will guide ministerial discussion and ultimately inform joint declaration on the post stages. The promise of SWEDD. SWEDD now is at least at Swiss and has already demonstrated its transformative potential. Since its inception in 2015, the project has supported 12 countries, reaching over 1.3 million new users of modern contraceptives, empowering more than 50,000 young women economically and providing safe space for more than 500,000 adolescent girls. We invest in the future of our nation. The current SWEDD focuses on 7 countries, as I've already mentioned by the chairperson. And the expert will be focused on these 3 components. That is, designing and implementing transformative gender intervention that promote empowerment, improving reproductive, maternal, newborn, child, adolescent, and nutrition health services at the community level, fostering regional and national commitment and capacity gender policy making. This expert meeting contributes directly to component 1, ensuring that our interventions are not only transformative, but also sustainable and regionally coordinated. The role of the expert will be based on these 3 pillars. Build an inter-regional consensus on zero tolerance for gender-based violence. Draft the regional roadmap for West Africa, Central Africa, and Mauritania. Establish a framework for implementation and monitoring of this roadmap. Lastly, to prepare the groundwork for joint declaration on the 4 stages. Your expertise, insight, and recommendation will shape the discussion of the ministers and guide the commitment of the 4 stages. In doing so, you will help to ensure that our collective vision of a region free from violence against women and girls becomes a reality. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend our heartfelt appreciation to our partners, the World Bank, UNFPA, WAGO, and all other technical and financial stakeholders for their unwavering support. I also commend each of you, the experts, for your dedication and sharing your knowledge and experience to this process. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, in collaboration with ECOWAS, WAGO, World Bank, and all the other stakeholders, is fully committed to ensuring that the success of this forum. Together, we reaffirm our determination to end child marriage, prevent genital mutilation, adolescent school dropout, human trafficking, and sexual harassment. As we begin our deliberation, let us be guided by our shared mission. A region where every woman and girl can have dignity, equality, and opportunity. Society where violence is met not with silence, but with justice. A future where empowerment is not a privilege, but a right. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to address the fact that this meeting is more than a preparation. It is a declaration of intent. It is a recognition that a well-being of a woman and girl is inseparable from the prosperity of our nation. Distinguished participants, I wish you a fruitful discussion, constructive exchanges, and a successful meeting. Together, let us make history by ensuring that zero tolerance for gender-based violence become just a slogan, but a life journey for all. On that note, I wish to thank you all for your kind attention. And once again, I welcome you to the Smile Coast of Africa.
Now, all the representative of the World Bank will be participating.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Honorable Ministers and Permanent Secretaries, Representative of the UNFPA, the Executive Assistant of the Director General of West African Health Organization, ECOWAS representative on the Republic of Gambia, distinguished partners, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand today as a regional lead of the SWEDD project, representing the World Bank and the country partners. As we gather, because gender-based violence remains the most persistent and damaging barrier to development in our region. In West and Central Africa, child marriage remains alarmingly high, affecting an estimated 41% of girls, exposing them to early pregnancy, increased maternal mortality, and school dropouts. Across the continent, more than 140 million women and girls have undergone female genital mutilation. Gender-based violence limits girls' education, constrains women's economic participation, weakens health outcomes, and undermines social cohesion. It's not only a violation of rights, it is a development crisis and loss of opportunities for the entire society to thrive. By coming together through this forum, SWEDD countries are sending a clear and unified message. Zero tolerance for gender-based violence is a shared and regional responsibility. Protecting women and girls is not optional. It's a foundational to development, stability, and prosperity. This is why SWEDD project is of paramount importance. The SWEDD project is the World Bank's largest regional investment dedicated to empowering adolescent girls and women in West Africa, and it builds in nearly a decade of experience that started in the Sahel and reflects a clear lesson that we have learned together. Protecting women and girls requires sustained, coordinated action across sectors and across borders. Today, I want to reiterate that SWEDD is fully committed to continue and deepening this agenda with a strong focus on preventing gender-based violence, supporting survivors, and expanding opportunities for care and young women. Through regional cooperation, the SWEDD countries are strengthening laws, improving protection systems, learning from each other, and investing in conditions that allow girls to grow up safe, educated, and empowered. One of the key innovations of SWEDD project is that explicitly focus on gender-based violence, recognizing not only the consequences, but the need of targeted prevention, response, and norm changes intervention. The project strengthens the health services by training midwives, and expanding access to modern contraceptive methods, strengthening women's health, decision-making power, and resilience. SWEDD also creates safe spaces for girls that have reached hundreds of thousands of adolescents with life skills, knowledge about their rights and health, helping to reduce isolation, vulnerability, to violence. At the same time, the project also invests in economic empowerment. Women and adolescent girls benefit from programs that expand economic opportunities, strengthen independence, and reduce the financial pressure that so often can increase the risk of violence and exploitation. Critically, the SWEDD project works to change the social norms that allow violence to persist, engaging communities and religious leaders, as well as men and boys, through community-based clubs and initiatives. Lasting changes requires the involvement of girls, boys, mothers, fathers, the entire families and community, not only institutions. Violence is deeply rooted in harmful norms and unequal power relationships. That is why SWEDD launched the Together for Her regional campaign that mobilizes community, leaders, and institutions to speak openly, challenge silence, and put survivors at the center. When communities reject violence, the impact of policies and programs multiplies. These interventions reinforce one another: health, education, economic opportunity, and social protection. All of those work best when they live together in a coordinated and multi-sectoral manner. Because of this collective effort, the original SWEDD project and today the SWEDD have delivered tangible results across countries. Nearly 4,000 cases of gender-based violence and harmful practices have been identified, referred for health, legal, and social protection services. And more than 1 million girls have been supported to stay at school, including over 1.1 million that receive transportation, school supplies, and meals, practical support that makes education possible. The program achieved also 95% school rotation rate for adolescent girls, demonstrating that when barriers are removed, girls stay and succeed. These outcomes are not accidental. These are results of targeted investment and political leadership. Excellencies, the leadership of SWEDD countries, government, and experts as you in this room has been decisive since the beginning of this journey. Your ability to convene, to advocate, and to keep the issue visible has helped turn technical problems into national priorities. 11 years after SWEDD began, your renewed commitment sends a powerful sign. This agenda will not fail, and will deepen, strengthen, and reach more girls and young women. As we look ahead, SWEDD will continue to focus on supporting governments to strengthen survival center protection system services, keep its girls at school as a central prevention strategy against child marriage and violence, expanding jobs, economic and social opportunities for young women, and aligning regional cooperation so that progress in one country reinforces progress in others. The leadership shown by SWEDD countries working together at a national and regional level create the foundation for lasting change in the region. The World Bank and particular SWEDD project are committed to working with in this path with you, country by country, community by community, and girl by girl. Because when women and girls are safe and empowered, entire societies thrive. Thank you for your leadership, your partnership, your unwavering commitment to zero tolerance to gender-based violence. I look forward to an enriching exchange with these experts and partners and to a successful and impactful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Eleonora Campellone, Senior Economist from Roma. I pronounce the name. It is now my pleasure to welcome Assistant Madam Kusa, President Representative of Unity in the Gambia. Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, the Honorable Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Honorable members of the National Assembly, permanent secretaries of the different government ministries, the ECOWAS representative to the Gambia, the World Bank, SWEDD lead and colleagues, the WAHO representative, distinguished colleagues, and experts from the World Bank, the WAHO, UNFPA, ECOWAS, the SWEDD, and the SWEDD plus member countries. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly and respectfully observed. Good morning once again. It is my honor to deliver these opening remarks on behalf of the UNFPA Regional Director for the West and Central Africa region, who cannot be with us today. We are gathered here at this technical meeting as part of the First Ladies Forum on zero tolerance for gender-based violence to reinforce our collective actions against gender-based violence and advance the rights and welfare of women and girls across West and Central Africa and beyond. This forum itself is a testament to regional coordination, a collaborative initiative of the World Bank, ECOWAS, WAHO, UNFPA, and other partners to provide high-level partnership, leadership, and advocacy on zero tolerance for GBV in our region. Allow me to recognize and thank the First Ladies of our SWEDD countries who decided to champion and galvanize political will in support of our communities to end GBV. As UNFPA, our commitment to ending gender-based violence in West Africa and beyond is unwavering. It is grounded in the principles of resilience, renewal, and the acceleration of the International Conference on Population and Development (ICPD) Program of Action, as we strive to achieve our three transformative results, and one of them is including zero gender-based violence by 2030. It is our role as a lead technical assistant provider to the SWEDD initiative to work hand in hand with government and partners to strengthen regional frameworks and accountability. So today's technical meeting is a key step in that effort, and we will be refining the SWEDD plus GBV roadmap 2026 to 2028 and the regional GBV scorecard tools that bridge the gap between data and policy, ensuring that evidence guides our investment and holds us accountable for results. Through this process, we will also finalize a draft ministerial communique and shape evidence-based recommendations to inform the roadmap's implementation, including guidance on protecting adolescent girls as we establish a strong regional technical working group to sustain momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, technical experts, the challenge before us is immense and urgent. In 2024 alone, more than 8 million women and girls in the West and Central Africa region require urgent support due to gender-based violence, and of the reported cases, 38% of them involved rape or sexual assault, and 37% were due to intimate partner violence, so it happens in our bedrooms. This is not merely a statistic, it represents millions of individual lives shattered by violence. Our region also continues to suffer one of the world's highest rates of child marriage, at about 41% on average. Roughly 4 out of 10 girls are married before the age of 18. West and Central Africa alone is home to 6 of the 10 countries with the highest child marriage prevalence globally, led by Niger, where a staggering 70% of girls are married before the age of 18. If the current trend continues with no intervention, over 70 million more girls in our regions will become childless by 2050, a feature we simply cannot accept. We must also confront the disturbing persistence of female genital mutilation in our region. As of this year, an estimated 4.5 million girls, many of them under the age of 5, remain at risk of FGM annually across our countries. And beyond being a gross violation of their human rights, FGM is also a big economic and health implications. Treating the medical complication of FGM is estimated to cost our health system $1.4 billion every year. And yet, every dollar invested in ending FGM will yield about $10 in economic and health benefit for our societies.
So for me, it's a no-brainer. But these numbers underscore that GBV and harmful practices are not only moral and human rights emergencies, they are also development emergencies, robbing girls and women of their potential and draining our economies and our health systems. So we must acknowledge that these challenges are being exacerbated by emerging crises, ongoing conflicts, and climate-induced disasters in parts of our region are leading to displacement and instability, which in turn heighten the risk of sexual violence. We witnessed a sharp escalation of violence during the COVID, for example, when many women and girls were trapped with abusers. Such evidence-based insight make one thing clear. Our GBV prevention and response mechanism must be resilient and responsive in both development and humanitarian settings, and we need to ensure that even in emergencies, women and girls have access to safety and support. So UNFPA considers GBV response as something non-negotiable and life-saving priority, both in development setting but also in humanitarian. Ladies and gentlemen, even as we strengthen policies and services, we know that lasting change requires tackling the problem at its roots. So gender-based violence is underpinned by pervasive, harmful social norms and gender inequalities, and these cannot be changed overnight. Progress will remain fragile unless we transform the norms and attitudes in our communities that accept or excuse violence. And this is why UNFPA and our partners prioritize these gender transformative approaches, engaging men and boys as allies, working with traditional and religious leaders, and empowering women and youth to challenge the gender stereotype. Encouraging initiatives are already underway. For example, several ECOWAS countries are involving men through the establishment of the husband schools. I'm sure you have heard about them. Expanding integrated service centers and legal clinics to support GBV survivors. Here in the Gambia, since I'm the representative here, we have a very well-oiled referral pathway, which includes one-stop centers, one number to call the GBV information management system. So such community-driven efforts alongside the mass media and education campaigns can help us dismantle the culture of silence and impunity surrounding GBV. At the same time, we also must scale up survivor-centered services across the region. Every survivor of violence deserves prompt, compassionate, and comprehensive care, medical treatment, psychosocial support, access to justice, and socio-economic reintegration. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not starting from zero. We have important frameworks guiding us. ECOWAS member states have demonstrated through political commitment by adopting in 2021 a regional strategy to prevent and respond to sexual and gender-based violence and to eliminate all violence against women and girls, as well as an ECOWAS policy on sexual harassment in workplaces and educational institutions. These frameworks, complete with action plans, provide a solid foundation for harmonized action. Building on this, last year, our partners developed a regional GBV action plan under the SWEDD program. The action plan, together with the GBV roadmap we validate today, charts the path for scaling up prevention efforts, legal reforms, and survivor services across our countries. Our task now is to translate these plans into concrete results. So this technical convening is about moving from commitment to implementation, identifying what works, the best practices, and agreeing together on how we will collectively accelerate progress in each and every country. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Honorable Madame la Ministre du Genre, de l'Enfance et de la Protection sociale de la République de Gambie. Excellence, Madame la représentante résidente de la CEDEAO en Gambie. Madame la représentante de la Banque mondiale. Madame la représentante de l'ONU. Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants, Mesdames et Messieurs les coordonnateurs de projet SWEDD, Mesdames et messieurs les experts, mesdames et messieurs les représentants de la société civile, mesdames et messieurs de la presse, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, tout protocole observé. Au nom du directeur général de l'Organisation ouest-africaine de la santé, je tiens à exprimer notre sincère reconnaissance au gouvernement et au peuple de la Gambie, de la République de la Gambie, pour l'accueil chaleureux qui nous a été réservé depuis notre arrivée. Nous souhaitons également adresser nos vifs remerciements au département du développement humain et des affaires sociales de la CEDEAO, à la Banque mondiale, au Fonds des Nations Unies pour la population, son bureau régional pour l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre, pour leur contribution respective à l'organisation de cet important forum. Je suis honoré de représenter le docteur Aïssi Mekior Athanase Joël Kotobi, directeur général de l'Organisation ouest-africaine de la santé, l'institution spécialisée de la CEDEAO en matière de santé, à cette importante réunion des experts du Forum des Premières Dames sur la tolérance zéro à l'égard des violences basées sur le genre, organisée sous le thème de l'engagement à l'action, leadership régional pour mettre fin aux violences basées sur le genre dans les pays de SWEDD+. Ce thème est à la fois opportun et urgent. Les violences basées sur le genre demeurent l'un des défis les plus pressants dans notre région. Elles constituent non seulement une violation des droits humains, mais également un problème majeur de santé publique, un frein à l'égalité des sexes et un obstacle à la réalisation du développement durable et du dividende démographique. En tant qu'experts, nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui avec un mandat clair et essentiel: traduire les engagements en solutions concrètes, opérationnelles et mesurables. L'agenda de ce jour reflète cette ambition. De l'analyse régionale des tendances des violences basées sur le genre à la validation technique de la feuille de route régionale 2026-2028, du tableau de bord juridique au projet de déclaration conjointe. Nos délibérations poseront les bases techniques d'un engagement politique de haut niveau pour les jours à venir. À l'Organisation ouest-africaine de la santé, nous accordons une importance particulière au renforcement des systèmes de santé afin de garantir des services accessibles, intégrés et adaptés aux besoins de l'ensemble des populations de la CEDEAO, en particulier ceux des femmes et des filles. À travers le projet SWEDD+, nous travaillons en étroite collaboration avec le département du développement humain et des affaires sociales de la CEDEAO, la Banque mondiale, l'UNFPA et les autres partenaires pour s'attaquer aux causes profondes de la vulnérabilité, en investissant dans l'éducation des filles, la santé reproductive, le renforcement des capacités des liens de santé de première ligne, l'autonomisation économique et le renforcement des capacités institutionnelles. Cependant, nous devons reconnaître que le véritable défi ne réside pas dans l'absence de cadre, mais dans leur mise en œuvre effective. C'est pourquoi notre rôle en tant qu'expert est indispensable. Il nous faudra assurer que la feuille de route régionale soit pratique, opérationnelle et mesurable. Deuxièmement, renforcer le tableau de bord juridique en tant qu'outil de redevabilité. Et puis troisièmement, veiller à ce que la déclaration reflète des engagements clairs et concrets. Mettre fin aux violences basées sur le genre nécessite une approche multisectorielle et coordonnée, mobilisant les secteurs de la santé, de la justice, de l'éducation et de la protection sociale. Cela requiert également des partenariats solides, une volonté politique soutenue et des financements adéquats. Plus important encore, cela exige que nous placions les survivantes au centre de nos réponses, avec dignité, confidentialité et attention. Distingués experts, les résultats de vos travaux aujourd'hui façonneront l'action régionale pour les années à venir. Soyons donc à la hauteur de cette responsabilité avec engagement, rigueur et une vision commune d'une région où chaque femme et chaque fille vit à l'abri de toute forme de violence. L'Organisation ouest-africaine de la santé réaffirme son engagement total à soutenir cet agenda et à travailler avec tous les partenaires afin que les efforts collectifs se traduisent par des résultats concrets au niveau des pays et des communautés. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention et je vous souhaite des délibérations.
The Honorable Minister of Basic Education, permanent secretaries and other senior government officials present, the country representative of the UNFPA, representative of the World Bank, the executive assistant to the director of WAMO, distinguished experts from SWEDD member states, colleagues from the ECOWAS Commission and other ECOWAS institutions, development partners, civil society organizations, technical leads and experts, ladies and gentlemen. I'm representing the Commissioner for Social Affairs, but before I deliver a statement, I'd like to break this protocol a little bit and just read something that's been playing on my mind. I'm sure a lot of us in this room, not all of us, are old enough to remember this song by Tracy Chapman. But I'm sure when we listen to it at the age we were, we probably did not recognize the significance of what she was singing about. So I'll not attempt to sing. I don't believe my voice is good enough. I don't want to sing. But I will read. Last night I had the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me. It won't do no good to call the police. They always come late, if they come at all. And when they arrive, they say they can't interfere in a domestic affair. It's between a man and his wife. And they walk out the door, and the tears well up in her eyes. Last night, I had the screaming, and then a silence that chilled my soul. I prayed that I was dreaming until I heard the ambulance in the road. And the policeman said, "Will the crowd disperse?" I think we all use some sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a sense of urgency, yet a steadfast hope in collective action, that I welcome you all to this crucial meeting. From the Sahel to the Chad Basin, sexual violence is being used systematically as a weapon of war. Despite robust international instruments like the ECOWAS Gender Policy and the Supplementary Act on Equality of Rights, implementation remains fragmented and violence continues to thrive in this gap between policy and practice. This brings me to why we are here. This is not a ceremonial dialogue. As the technical backbone of this fight, your mission over the next 2 days is to move from diagnosis to surgical intervention. Specifically, I will ask that we focus on three critical outputs. First, data harmonization. We cannot fight what we cannot measure. Our member states use different definitions for rape, domestic violence, and FGM. We need a common regional indicator framework to track progress under our new 2025 to 2030 strategy. Second, closing the justice gap. Experts tell us that less than 10% of gender-based violence survivors in West Africa ever seek help. And of those, fewer than 1% see a conviction. I challenge you to propose actionable mechanisms for swift justice, including mobile courts and specialized police units, while ensuring safe shelters are not just built, but fully funded. Third, financing the response. Advocacy is no longer enough. We need to cost our action plans. We need to explore innovative financing, from gender bonds to private sector levies, to ensure our anti-GBV programs are not perpetually dependent on donor cycles. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, let me acknowledge the elephant in the room. This work is dangerous. In too many of our communities, speaking up against GBV can cost you your life. We have seen frontline defenders killed, survivors re-victimized, and cultural relativism used as an excuse for inaction. But let us be honest, culture is not static. The culture that protects an abuser over the child, the wife, or the sister is a culture that has lost its humanity. Our role is to accelerate the shift towards a culture of dignity. To our experts from the security and judicial sector, you are the gatekeepers. When a survivor walks into a police station, will she be mocked or protected? The protocols you design here will answer that question. To our civil society partners, you are the conscience of this room. Hold us accountable. Your frontline experience is the raw data we need. In conclusion, the ECOWAS Commission, under the visionary leadership of President Omar Touré, has made ending GBV a non-negotiable pillar in our human development agenda. But the Commission does not implement. You, the member states, do. We provide the framework, you provide the action. Therefore, as you break into your working groups, remember the face of a girl in a displacement camp in Difa, or market woman in Abidjan, who walks home with fear every night. They are waiting for West Africa, where they are truly safe. Do not leave this meeting with just a report. Leave with a roadmap, with clear timelines, responsible actors, and binding accountability. On that note, I will wish you all profound and productive deliberations. I thank you for your attention.
ECOWAS. Indeed, gender-based violence is not just numbers. We hear the numbers because we are alive, but sometimes we need to think with human faces and be sensitive to all whose plight in order for us to act decisively. Culture is not static. We need to change those cultural norms that are not adequate, that are not in line with international and national laws. We need not to hide behind culture to undermine the values, rights, and women's rights. Thank you for reminding us. Now we will have a little cultural performance just to show you some parts of our culture. It was any straight meeting or team. We go for strategic in a nutshell, the whole the content is powerful. But also, you see, these women, women are powerful, indeed. Yeah, and look at the voices, these are from the community. Singing from the heart, the instruments, our local instruments. Thank you for bringing the voices from the community. These women working with their men, their young men, support them to this awareness of I also acknowledge the presence of Attorney General and Police of Justice. Thank you for coming. Also, there are these human rights institutions represented, and also the Office of the High Commissioner to show the connection and the invisibility of all the sides that we should talking about. It is now my 26th gender change. Purpose of this important role, thank you very much, the chairperson and the coordinator. Excellencies, Minister of Physical Education, Justice, Gambia, honorable ministers from the SWEDD, the different countries, students and representatives of UNICEF, UNFPA, sorry, we say all the agencies and their staff here. The World Bank, ECAS, ECOWAS Commission, representatives of Youth African Health Organization, our secretaries and staff of various ministries of the government of Gambia, members of the National Assembly, members of the National Women's Council, experts from all the related countries, representatives of NGOs and social organizations, so layman's High Commissioner for the Gambia, and all the members of the people of the court, fellow women of the Gambia, members of the media, civil personnel, local and regional authorities, all protocols respectfully observed. Good morning. It is a great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to Banjul for the first this forum on zero tolerance for gender-based violence. On behalf of the government and people of the Gambia, I extend our warmest greetings and sincere gratitude for your presence at this very important gathering, which brings together leadership, vision, and commitment towards a shared cause that affects the very fabric of our societies. At the outset, I have the distinct honor to convey to you all warm greetings and best wishes from President His Excellency President President of the Gambia, and the first family. His Excellency, it is with profound appreciation for your presence and your continued dedication to advancing the rights of protection and empowerment of women and girls across our region. He further affirms the government's commitment to fostering a peaceful, stable, and conducive environment and dialogue, partnership, and collective action. Under the leadership of His Excellency the President, the government continues to concentrate in governance, promote human rights, and advance development, with particular emphasis on the protection and empowerment of women and girls. Vision was, ladies and gentlemen, this gathering came at a time
in the voices of women and girls in our region call out urgency. These statistics remind us of the scale of the challenge. Millions of girls and women across Africa continue to face violence, exploitation, and barriers to their full participation in society. But behind every number is a human story. A daughter whose education is cut short, a mother whose health is compromised, a community whose potential is diminished. We don't ignore the urgency of our task. Whereas against women and girls continue to scar our societies, robbing them of dignity, opportunity, and but we also know that the resilience of our communities and the power of collaboration is essential. This forum is not only a meeting of distinct minds, but also a powerful demonstration of regional solidarity and shared responsibility. It reflects our collective recognition that gender-based violence remains one of the most pervasive violations of human rights, undermining peace, security, development, and dignity of our people. It is therefore both timely and necessary that we come together at this level to renew our resolve and strengthen our collective efforts towards achieving zero tolerance to gender-based violence in all its forms. This responsibility is therefore critical. It is here that we as experts and professionals must ensure that the realities of survivors, the lessons of communities, and the aspirations of our youth are translated into strategies that are practical, inclusive, and transformative. Colleagues, the wisdom and experience you bring from your countries are truly the backbone of this process. Each of you carries stories from your communities, policies that have been tested, programs that have succeeded, and challenges that still remain. These are not abstract lessons, they are lived realities from Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Mauritania, Senegal, Togo, and Gambia. The chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, when we bring these experiences together, we create something far more powerful than any one nation can achieve alone. It is like weaving a strong fabric, a single thread may be fragile, but when many threads are woven together side by side, they become something resilient and lasting. In the same way, your policies, your practice, and the voice of women and girls from across the world must be woven into one collective roadmap so that we do here today, so what we do here today matters urgently. The strategies we design, the commitments we shape, the solidarity we show together will echo across the city. The government of Gambia is deeply honored to host this very important forum to the SWEDD initiative, the first of its kind in the project. I wish to thank ECOWAS, WAPO, and the World Bank and UNFPA for giving us the opportunity to host this meeting here in the Gambia, despite most of Africa. This platform provides a unique opportunity to deepen partnerships, exchange experiences, and advance solutions that are both practical and cultivated. The leadership and advocacy of First Ladies in this regard are particularly commendable as they amplify visibility, mobilize political will, and inspire action across communities and nations. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, the government remains steadfast in its commitment to promoting gender equality and eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls. Over the years, we have made notable progress through delivering policy choices, sustained legal reforms, and strengthening institutional frameworks aimed at safeguarding the rights and dignity of women and girls. Central to these efforts is the strengthening of our legal and policy frameworks. The Gambia has taken significant steps to domesticate international and beyond instruments that promote gender equality and protect the rights of women and girls. We are proud to be a signatory to key global conventions and at the international level, the Gambia has signed and continues to uphold the provisions of the African Union Protocol to the African Charter on Human People's Rights, and the rights of women in Africa, widely known as the Protocol. This landmark instrument provides a comprehensive framework for addressing discrimination, violence, and inequality affecting women across the continent. In addition, the Gambia aligns itself with emerging African Union efforts, including, of course, the evolving Convention on the Ending Violence Against Women and Girls, which seeks to further strengthen confidential commitments to eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls. These frameworks not only guide our national reforms, but also reinforce our accountability in ensuring that the rights of women and girls are respected, protected, and fulfilled. At the national level, the Gambia has enacted and continues to implement key legislation addressing gender violence and discrimination. These include laws that provide protection against domestic violence, sexual violence offenses, and harm practices, as well as legislation that promotes the welfare and rights of children and women. Recognizing that some existing laws are typically contained, the government has embarked on a continuous and regular process of reviewing and updating such laws to ensure alignment with principles of equality, justice, and human rights. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, this process of legal reform is not merely technical or procedural in nature. It represents a transformative agenda aimed at shaping society norms, social norms, strengthening institutions, and ensuring that justice is both accessible and responsive. It is about creating a legal environment where every woman and girl in the Gambia can live free from violence, discrimination, and fear. It also is about ensuring that the justice system is family-centered, inclusive, and capable of responding effectively to the needs of those that it serves. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, efforts are ongoing to harmonize some statutory laws with customary practices, eliminate discriminatory provisions, and address gaps that hinder effective protection. Particular attention is being given to the protection of adolescent girls who often face heightened vulnerabilities due to intersecting social and economic needs. Legal reforms are therefore complemented by policies and programs that promote equal access to education, health services, and equal opportunities. Equally important is strengthening of institutional mechanisms to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare continues to play a central coordinating role, working in close collaboration with other government institutions, civil organizations, and government partners. Through this multi-sectoral approach, we have strengthened coordination, improved service delivery, and enhanced accountability. We have also established mechanisms that provide integrated and private services, including legal care, psychosocial support, legal assistance, and professional services. These efforts are supported by strengthening demand systems that ensure survivors receive timely and coordinated care. Capacity building initiatives have also been undertaken to equip frontline service providers, including law enforcement officers, health professionals, and social workers with the skills required to respond effectively and sensitively. A key milestone in our efforts to support the survivors is the establishment of the Gender-Based Violence Fund in 2024. This initiative provides direct financial assistance to survivors, enabling them to access essential services and rebuild their lives with dignity. It underscores the government's commitment to ensuring that no survivor is left behind due to economic constraints. Mr. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, while response mechanisms are essential, prevention remains at the heart of our society. The government requires that against violence is rooted in social norms and cultural practices that perpetuate inequality. Addressing these underlying causes requires sustained engagement with communities and a collective effort to transform attitudes and behaviors. To this end, we have identified community engagement initiatives by traditional leaders, religious leaders, youth groups, and various organizations. These stakeholders play a critical role in shaping social values and influencing change. Through dialogue, advocacy, and education, we are working to challenge harmful practices and promote positive norms and that uphold the rights and dignity of women and girls. Particular attention has been given to addressing challenges affecting adolescent girls, including dropouts, early marriage, and limited access to opportunities. The government of the Gambia has implemented targeted programs to girls' education, retention, and transition, recognizing that education remains one of the most powerful tools for empowerment and prevention. Furthermore, the Gambia has prioritized the economic empowerment of women as a key strategy in reducing vulnerability to violence. Through skills development and training, access to finance and support for entrepreneurship, women are being empowered to achieve economic independence and contribute meaningfully to national development. Our progress has been made possible through strong partnerships with regional and international organizations. We acknowledge the voluntary support of partners such as the the World Bank, the West African Organization, and the ECOWAS Commission. This collaboration continues to strengthen our capacity to deliver impactful and sustainable interventions. The South Coast Initiative has been particularly instrumental in addressing the root causes of gender inequality and gender-based violence across participating countries. It has provided a platform for knowledge sharing, innovation, and resource mobilization, enabling countries like the Gambia to scale effective interventions. Despite these achievements, however, we remain mindful of the challenges that persist. Gender-based violence continues to be underreported due to stigma, fear, and social pressures. Because of constraints within the reach of interventions and harmful practices continue to affect the lives of many women and girls. These challenges call for renewed commitment to increase development and stronger collaboration across sectors and borders. They continue, or they also require us to adapt innovative approaches and to remain steadfast in our resolve to protect the rights and dignity of all women and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of leadership in this endeavor cannot be overemphasized. The voices and actions of first ladies carry immense influence and have the power to shape national and European agendas. Your continued advocacy and commitment are critical in driving the change we seek. As we commence this forum, let us seize this opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to act. Let us share our experiences, build on our successes, and confront our challenges with honesty and determination. Above all, let us commit to translating our deliberations into concrete and measurable actions that will improve the lives of women and girls across the region. In closing, I wish to reaffirm the government's unwavering commitment to achieving zero tolerance to gender-based violence. We stand ready to work with all partners to advance this agenda and to build a future where every woman and girl can live in safety, dignity, and equality. I thank you for your attention and wish all of us a successful and impactful forum. Thank you very much.